My girlfriend was cheating with her female coworker and asked me to join in instead of breaking up. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to post something like this, but here I am, trying to make sense of a situation that completely blindsided me. It started like any normal relationship. My girlfriend, let's call her Sarah, and I had been together for almost 2 years. Things were good, or so I thought. We lived together, shared interests, and had plans for the future. I trusted her completely, maybe too much. Sarah worked at a marketing firm, and a few months ago, she mentioned a new coworker who she seemed excited about. Her name was Emily, and Sarah said they got along really well. I thought it was great that she was making friends at work. But then I started noticing little things. Sarah was texting less, sometimes disappearing for long periods, and being unusually secretive about her phone. At first, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I told myself it was just stress from work, or maybe she was planning a surprise, but my gut kept nagging me. One day, I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower. I know, not the best move, but I needed answers. What I found crushed me. Messages between Sarah and Emily that were way more than friendly. Flirty texts, pictures, and plans to meet up after work. They weren't just friends. They were involved. It felt like a punch to the stomach. I confronted Sarah that evening, expecting anger or denial, but what I got was something I never saw coming. Instead of admitting she'd been cheating or apologizing, Sarah told me that she wanted me to join in with her and Emily. She said it wasn't about leaving me, but about exploring something new together. She said it was about expanding our relationship and that I shouldn't be jealous. I was stunned. How could she expect me to be okay with this? I sat there, speechless, trying to process what she'd just said. It felt like the ground beneath me had shifted. Was this some kind of joke? Was she serious? The whole thing felt like a bad movie plot. I'd never been interested in a threesome or anything like that. And this wasn't just about it was about trust, loyalty, and respect. All things that suddenly felt broken. Over the next few days, I tried to figure out what I wanted to do. Part of me wanted to walk away immediately, but another part was confused and, honestly, curious. Could this be a way to save the relationship? Was this something people actually did? The more I thought about it, the more complicated it got. I decided to share my story here, hoping to hear from others who might have been through something similar or could offer some perspective. This isn't just about cheating. It's about what happens when your partner's idea of honesty and love is something you never expected, and how you deal with a betrayal that comes with a strange, twisted offer instead of closure. After that shocking conversation with Sarah, I spent the next few days in a whirlwind of emotions. I couldn't believe that the person I loved was asking me to do something I never even considered, and more importantly, that she was already involved with someone else behind my back. It felt like my whole world was upside down, and I didn't know where to turn. At first, I tried talking to Sarah again, hoping she would explain why she thought this joining in idea made sense. She told me that she wasn't trying to hurt me, but that she'd been feeling something different lately, something she couldn't just ignore. Emily had come into her life at a vulnerable time, and the connection between them was intense. But she insisted that she still loved me and didn't want to lose what we had. She said this was about honesty and trust, and that if I could be open-minded, it might even bring us closer. I felt overwhelmed and betrayed. I asked her if she ever thought about how this would make me feel, if she understood that for me, this wasn't just about jealousy, but about the foundations of our relationship. Sarah said she understood, but hoped I could see it as a new chapter, not an ending. I told my closest friends what was happening, and their reactions were all over the place. Some told me to dump her immediately and never look back, while others were curious if maybe this was something people did. And I just didn't get it. But the advice that stuck with me was from my best friend, who reminded me to think about what I really wanted and what would make me happy, not what anyone else said. I also found myself asking tough questions. Was I being selfish? Was I closed-minded? Did I really know Sarah at all? The more I tried to understand her perspective, the more confusing it got. I started doing some research about relationships that involved more than two people. It wasn't something I ever thought I'd consider, but I wanted to be fair to myself and to Sarah. The more I read, the more I realized that this kind of arrangement, sometimes called polyamory, is complicated and requires complete honesty and willingness from everyone involved. It's about communication, boundaries, and respect. And, most importantly, it can't be forced or suggested as a way to cover up cheating. This made me realize that what Sarah was asking wasn't about exploring new relationship styles. It was about her wanting to keep things her way, regardless of how it made me feel. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being manipulated or gaslighted. At the same time, I couldn't ignore the part of me that was scared to lose her. After all, we had built a life together, and the thought of starting over was terrifying. So, I decided I needed some space to figure things out, away from Sarah, Emily, and all the chaos. That's when I started writing all this down, hoping to clear my head and maybe connect with others who had been through something similar. I didn't have all the answers yet, but I knew I needed to find my own path forward, no matter how difficult it might be. Taking that space away from Sarah was one of the hardest things I ever did, but I knew it was necessary. I needed time to think without the pressure of her voice or her expectations hanging over me. During that time, I started reflecting on everything about our relationship, the good, the bad, and the things I had maybe overlooked because I was so in love. I remembered the early days when things were simple, when it was just the two of us. We laughed, shared dreams, and made plans for a future that felt solid. But slowly, cracks began to show. Sarah became distant, distracted, and sometimes secretive. I had dismissed these signs, convincing myself that maybe work or stress was to blame. But now, I couldn't ignore the truth. One night I reached out to her, not to fight, but to get some clarity. I needed to hear her side straight from the source. Sarah told me again about her feelings for Emily and how confused she was. She said she never wanted to hurt me, but she also couldn't deny the connection she had with someone else. It wasn't just a fling or something temporary. To her, it was real. I asked her how she expected me to feel or respond to all this. She said she wanted me to be open-minded, to maybe see this as a new kind of relationship, one where love wasn't limited to just two people. But when I asked if she had considered how painful this was for me, she became defensive. It felt like she was more focused on her own feelings than on ours as a couple. I realized then that we were standing on completely different pages. What Sarah called honesty and freedom, I saw as betrayal and disrespect. And no matter how much I cared for her, I couldn't ignore how deeply this was hurting me. I also started talking to a counselor. At first, I thought it was just to figure out how to handle the situation, but it quickly became a place where I could unpack my feelings without judgment. The counselor helped me see that my feelings were valid, that it was okay to feel hurt, confused, and angry. With time, I understood that I deserved to be in a relationship where I felt safe and respected, not one where I was asked to compromise my own values and boundaries to keep the peace. Sarah's idea of joining in was never really about love. It was about control and avoiding confrontation. Eventually, I made the difficult decision to end things. I knew it would be painful, and I wasn't sure how I would move on, but I also knew it was the right thing for me. Breaking up with Sarah wasn't easy. We cried, we argued, and there were moments I wondered if maybe I could have tried harder. But deep down, I knew my happiness and self-respect were worth fighting for. This wasn't just about a relationship. It was about learning to stand up for myself and what I truly needed. Even now, I still think about everything that happened, the love, the betrayal, and the strange request that started it all. It was one of the toughest lessons I've learned, but it's also made me stronger. And who knows, maybe one day I'll find someone whose love is simple, honest, and just for me. After the breakup, the silence felt overwhelming. The space Sarah once filled with her presence and chaos was now just emptiness. It was strange to think how quickly things had changed, how fast a relationship that once seemed unbreakable could unravel so completely. I had to face a future without her, and honestly, it scared me. In those early days, I kept replaying every moment in my head. Was there a sign I missed? Could I have done something differently to prevent this? The more I thought, the more I realized that no matter how much I tried to fix things, some situations are beyond repair, especially when one person isn't fully honest or willing to meet you halfway. But healing wasn't just about moving on from Sarah. It was about rediscovering who I was without the weight of her expectations. I started spending more time with friends and family, people who reminded me of my worth and made me laugh when I felt like crying. I took up old hobbies I had pushed aside, like painting and jogging, and slowly began to fill the empty spaces in my life with things that made me happy. One thing that helped me more than I expected was journaling. Writing down my thoughts and emotions gave me a safe place to explore my pain without fear of judgment. I could be completely honest with myself, which was something I hadn't allowed in a long time. Through that process, I learned a lot about boundaries. Love isn't just about passion or connection. It's about respect and trust. It's about feeling safe to be yourself without fear of betrayal. And sometimes, loving yourself means walking away from a situation that no longer serves you. even if it hurts like hell. Interestingly, after a while, Sarah reached out. She said she wanted to talk and clear the air. Part of me was tempted to hear her out, to see if maybe there was a chance for closure or understanding. But I knew I had to protect myself first. So I agreed to meet her, but stayed cautious. When we talked, Sarah apologized, not just for the cheating, but for the way she handled everything. She admitted she was confused and selfish, but said she hoped we could still be friends. I wasn't sure if I was ready for that, and honestly, I'm still not. That conversation helped me see that sometimes people hurt you, not because they want to, but because they're struggling with their own issues. It doesn't excuse their actions, but it helped me feel a bit more compassion for her. Still, the most important thing I took from all this was a clearer understanding of what I want in a relationship. I want honesty, respect, and someone who truly values me, not just in words, but in actions. My experience with Sarah was painful and confusing, but it also pushed me to grow in ways I never expected. It taught me to listen to my heart and trust my instincts, even when it's hard. And it reminded me that I deserve a love that's real, not a nightmare masked as something else. Moving forward after everything with Sarah wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The wounds took time to heal, and some scars would probably never fully disappear. Yet those scars became a part of my story, a reminder of my strength and resilience. I began to rebuild my life, piece by piece. I focused on my goals, poured energy into my passions, and surrounded myself with people who truly cared. Slowly, but surely, I found peace in the chaos that once consumed me. The experience also changed how I viewed relationships. I realized that love isn't about trying to fix someone else or molding yourself to fit into their world. It's about two people choosing to grow together while respecting each other's individuality. I learned to set boundaries and to listen to red flags instead of ignoring them. Sometimes, when I look back, I feel a mixture of sadness and gratitude. Sadness for what I lost, but gratitude for the lessons learned and the person I became through the struggle. Life threw me a curveball, but I caught it, faced it, and came out stronger. Now, when I think about love, I think about honesty and trust, the foundation that can't be shaken no matter what challenges come your way. I want to build relationships that celebrate that foundation, not tear it down. Sarah's chapter in my life closed, but it didn't define me. Instead, it opened the door to self-discovery and growth. I'm still learning every day, but one thing is clear: I won't settle for anything less than what I deserve. This story isn't just about betrayal or heartbreak. It's about finding the courage to walk away when something isn't right and having faith that better things are waiting ahead. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to let anyone make you feel less than that. And to anyone going through something similar, know this: you are not alone. The pain is real, but so is your strength. Take your time, heal at your own pace, and remember that your story is still being written. You have the power to make it one of hope, resilience, and love. In the end, sometimes the hardest experiences teach us the most important lessons. They shape us into who we're meant to be and prepare us for the love and happiness that truly belong to us. And that's a future worth fighting for.